Well, I bring you warm greetings from Seattle and from Seattle Insight. I see my fellow Seattle Insight practitioner, Takaki here. It's wonderful to be here with you. So a bit of the lay of the land. We're going to get to know each other a little bit in the time we have together. We're going to go into a sit very shortly. That should last for about 25, 30 minutes, give or take. And then there'll be a 10-minute break, right? About 5:20-ish, after which we'll come back for the talk. Oh, yes. How's it now? Better? Now, I would give you a little primer that although I'm presently soft-spoken, I'm known to jump and yell excitably sometimes about the Dharma. So it's all about the Dharma. I'll ask you to find a comfortable position that enables mindfulness, whatever that is for you, whatever is available to you, as we prepare to get into formation. Gently coming into a meditative posture that enables you to be relaxed yet alert. Whether you're sitting, lying down, or standing. This is the direct path for the purification of beings, for the realization of nirvana, namely the four foundations of mindfulness. And that's from the Satipatthana Sutta 10. We're going to go through the four foundations of mindfulness, starting with mindfulness of the body, then mindfulness of feeling, mindfulness of the mind, and mindfulness of the dharmas. As you sit, stand, lay in your current posture, gently become aware of your body. I am here. I exist. Right here. Right now. Gently bringing attention to your feet. Noticing textures. There's the texture of your socks, the shoes, the ground, whatever surface you're making contact with. Gently bringing attention to your ankles. When was the last time you sent gratitude to your ankles? Thank you. Gently bringing your attention to your shins and your calves. Perhaps becoming aware of the ligaments, the warm blood, if that's available to you. Bring attention to your knees. Noticing how your knees connect your thigh bones to your hip bones. And if it's available to you, become aware of your sit bone. And then gently bringing your attention to the area around your abdomen, your belly button. Notice it, whether it's rising and falling with each breath. Allowing all the tension to dissipate as you become aware of it. And you may want to bring your attention to your heart center. Noticing how it rises and falls with each breath. Bringing attention to your shoulders, your arms, your fingers, noticing your posture and mudra. And you may gently bring your attention to your throat area or your throat chakra. You may become aware of saliva in your throat. Bring your attention to your neck, noticing how it holds your head. Relax your jaws. Separate your teeth. Relax your cheekbones. Relax your eyelids. Relax your eyebrows. Relax your ears. Relax your forehead. Down the crown on the top of you. Now become aware of feeling tones. Noticing whether the sensations are pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, comfortable. And to anchor yourself in mindfulness, if it's available to you, gently become aware of the area between your nostrils and your upper lip, noticing breathing is happening. Noticing whether you're breathing fast, slowly, through both nostrils. Perhaps a nostril is blocked. Maybe the breath is hard to find. And if breathing is not available to you, you may choose the sensation of hearing. noticing sounds in the room previously imperceptible. And just noticing. And notice what's going on in your mind. Who's that unfamiliar voice? It's all practice. Staying with your anchor, whether it's breathing or sound. Drift away, gently come back. That's the breath or sound. Welcome back. Some minor audio challenges, but hopefully you can hear me. We're going to take a 10-minute break and reconvene at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. 10-minute break. It's all practice. Practice never stops. I greet you well. This December 13th, 2025. I want to express gratitude to your core teachers for the invite, Trina and Candle, and gratitude for your time and attention. We're going to be talking today about the intersection between Bhāvanā, Sila, Dāna. We're going to be talking about the intersection between Bhāvanā, Sila, and Dāna. What are these three concepts? What do they mean? Why should we care? Why did the Buddha talk about these three concepts when the Buddha did? Then, are they still relevant today? Because I like to know if it's still relevant. And by the way, if my approach to the Dharma is unfamiliar to you, good. It's practice. If it makes you uncomfortable without me doing any harm, great. It's practice. If I do harm, please let me know. Take what's useful, leave what's not. if beings knew, as I know, the fruit of giving, they would not eat without having shared. This is from the Itivuttaka 26. These are the Buddha's words on generosity, Dāna. If beings knew, as I know, the fruit of giving, they would not eat without having shared. So I also wanted to know what the Buddha said about morality, Sila. When one is possessed of virtue, they experience no remorse. I like this because I never have to look over my shoulder. From non-remorse, joy arises. From joy, tranquility. From tranquility, happiness. From happiness, concentration. From concentration, insight. This is from the Samyutta Nikaya 1223. Then on mental cultivation, Bhāvanā, what did the Buddha say? Because once I've told you what the Buddha said, then I can just be myself, right? Because it's rooted in what the Buddha said. There are 3 trainings in higher virtue, higher mind, and higher wisdom. These are the exact words of the Buddha, from the Buddha, about what Bhāvanā is, mental cultivation. Mental cultivation in these times, December 2025 and beyond. Morality, Sila, morality in these times. And generosity, Dāna, in a time where it feels like it's very difficult to access. So-called enlightened self-interest. So it's important to have some more scaffolding, because I like to build scaffolding before I go into some exaltation. Where do these 3 factors appear across the Dharma? So I wanted to give you a primer. And you may already know this, because I know there's some advanced practitioners here. I know this. And I'm just a beginner. In the Noble Eightfold Path, where does Sila show up? Right speech. Right action. I hope we're all self-examining as you're hearing these words. Even if the words are limited, just the energy of what's being transmitted. Right livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
Then on Bhāvanā, where does it show up? Right effort. Right effort. Right mindfulness. Right concentration. Where else do these three concepts show up? In the Four Noble Truths. Because Dāna, generosity, weakens craving, Dāna. If you're giving genuinely, can you be greedy at the same time? Because remember how to give: a pure state of mind prior, a pure state of mind during, and a pure state of mind afterwards. Where's the greed? This is math. Sila reduces dukkha. Because if I'm happy for you, because you got that promotion, by Jove, isn't that happiness magnified? Versus, why did it happen for her and not me? More dukkha. And Bhāvanā, mental cultivation, enables direct scene of cessation. Because how can you awaken without concentration? Without a concentrated mind, even if it's not the jhanas. Because I tell you what, there was a long time I was very good at concentrating on a lot of things that were not good for me. I was really concentrated on them. Mentally cultivated in a very unwholesome way. From my trauma. Now, when we go further to the definitions on generosity, I just wanted to know what some renowned teachers had to say. So Bhante Gunaratana, who's affiliated with Bhante Buddharakkhita, who's my preceptor and runs the Bhāvanā Center in West Virginia, said, true giving is not about things. It's about the heart that lets go. Look what I did for you. Remember that? Huh? Be nice to me. That's a transaction. So one of your favorites, Sada Upandita, what did he say? Without generosity, the mind does not open. Dāna is the doorway. I know a while back someone told me, whenever you see a houseless black man with a gray beard, that's an angel. So whenever I have difficult situations, I would go on the streets looking for an elderly black man. Even if I couldn't afford to give what I gave. Because something in me trusts in this wholesomeness of Dāna, which is the cycle of life. On ethical conduct, Sila, Mahasi Sayadaw said, Sila is intelligence. It protects the mind from its worst habits. When we live ethically, the mind becomes luminous. This is not superstition. It is psychology. That's Bhante Gunaratana. And then on mental cultivation, one is sort of a latent student on Buddhist psychology. So in the Visuddhimagga, it says, Bhāvanā clears away defilements so insight may arise. I remember going on a retreat, and Takaki, you've heard me share the story before. It's a retreat, and prior to the retreat in the Sangha, I would have these conversations, and one member of the Sangha said these three words, just like me, just like me. And I remember thinking, that sounds like some performative bumper sticker thing. What is that? So I go to this retreat, 10-day retreat with my primary teacher, Tweri Sila. Takaki, I think you were at that retreat. I think you were. Yeah. This was another one. Yeah. We were at a recent retreat together. That's right. So I see, I'm in the hall, and I'm quiet, and I'm feeling ready, poised, and maybe a little bit of an ego mind. And this person comes in, and they go through their process of acknowledging Kuan Yin and the Buddha, and I catch myself thinking, oh gosh, let's stop it already. Okay. Then walk in meditation time, I'm outside, and I catch myself about to make a judgment, and then I remember the words, just like me. Just like me. She's prostrating, seeking liberation, just like me. They are at this retreat, away from the world, just I was so ashamed at how dirty my mind was. Judgmental. And how immature those judgments were for me, without getting into any self-recrimination. And did I judge after that? Yes, I did. That's the conditioned mind. But again, what Bhante Gunaratana said is, when we live ethically, the mind becomes luminous. Like the full moon shining on the Columbia River or Lake Washington, because I'm in Seattle. Luminous, shimmering. So why did the Buddha emphasize these factors plus the Dharmas in the time the Buddha lived, 2,700 years ago? Because after all, we live in contemporary times. We have AI and cell phones, smartphones, and the end of work and techno-feudalism. I'm going to talk about all those things, right? And I found out, you see, we all know this. The Buddha grew up in these Brahminical times where caste and social stratification were deeply embedded. Does that sound old or new? It still continues. I mean, segregation is legal at the federal level, federal contractors. So you think about the caste system, which reinforced the sort of we're better than you, which is a form of unwholesome hatred. That existed 2,700 years ago in northern India, in Lumbini and all those other places. There was ritual corruption and Brahmanism. Ritual corruption and Brahmanism. So a $3 trillion pay package is not a new thing. Oh, and political violence and war was rife. Significant economic insecurity. Because if you're born in the lower caste, that's it. It doesn't matter how enterprising you are, you're stuck. So when we come into the present context, why is it difficult to be generous? Why is it difficult to be ethical? Why? Why is it difficult to have a mind that is free of kilesas? It's because of a few factors. There's many, but I'll give a few. We are firmly shifted away from capitalism to techno-feudalism. In other words, what I'm saying is capitalism is an anachronism. We're now in techno-feudalism. Yeah, what is that exactly? We now live in AI-governed realities. Although the AI is as useful as the context you provide it, that it becomes very powerful. But if you don't know, that's what it is. I mean, look at the words people use. They use the same words, the same phrases. It's the same program and the same conditioned reality. We are now in peak hate. Peak hate manufactured. Well, as Noam Chomsky will say, manufactured consent. And what is awakening about? Waking up from illusions. I'm pointing out some illusions that are calcified and real. See, trauma is monetized. Having a dysregulated nervous system is the standard. This is why the Vancouver psychotherapist wrote this incredible book, The Myth of Normal, Dr. Gabor Mate. What is normal? It's a myth. Until that sickness and suffering makes you so fed up, you realize that the way out is Bhāvanā, mental cultivation, Dāna, generosity, and Sila, morality. Because if I act towards you with Sila, there is no separation between me and you. How can I harm you when you are me? Remember, there's no permanent self. There's only the unconditioned. So that you were born where you were born is subjective. If you were born in Ulaanbaatar to the same parents, would you be the same person? Would you? So we don't want to hear about the subjective, because objectively, I and I, which is why my pronouns are I and I. That's from the Rastafari in Montego Bay that I spent some time with, which is where this comes from, the sign of my own renunciation. I and I. Non-duality. Folks online, am I talking to you or am I talking at you? Can't see you. So how do we practice? How do we practice these factors? How do you practice these? How do you know you're practicing these factors? How? Because after all, if you awaken this evening and found you're a bodhicitta, this is self-initiation. Nobody can tell you you're not bodhicitta. Who can? But we can tell by your actions if you are or you're not. Mm-hmm. If you're performing or if you're embodying. So how do you know? Can you, when it comes to Dāna, give without expecting anything in return? Can you give without expecting anything in return? Not all the time. After all, we're still in a third dimensional world. And then capitalism, techno-feudalism. Can you share your presence genuinely? Not without boundaries, of course. Can you do that? Can you volunteer cheerfully, as you've done? And I've watched you do this evening. And you. And the big one. Can you forgive? Even the unforgivable. Even if it means non-reconciliation. Sila. Can I keep the 5 precepts? Can I keep the 5 precepts? Can I? Do I review them daily? Am I honest with myself? Do I now have fewer regrets? Even though I've been divorced twice. Can I trust in my actions that they are wholesome? Am I in natural alignment? Am I being something that is another character, another non-self? Mental cultivation, Bhāvanā. Do I sit daily to observe myself, observe my mind? Because there's no one watching me. I can tell my teacher I'm sitting for 2 hours a day. How will she know? Well, she will. Because the Dharma is the Dharma. And the mission of the Dharma, Twitter would always say. So with the Dharma, do I label my thoughts? Do I watch without judgment? Do I rest in my awareness? Have I become more responsive and less reactive? Yes. I used to be incredibly impatient and fiery, Aries. Fire, 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 fire. And there's a beauty in observing the conditioned reflex to react and not doing that. Seeing the arising and the extinguishing. It's so much fun to overcome oneself in that way. We're in a period of peak hate. Peak hate, meaning peak fear. What are you afraid of? Can you be afraid if you cultivate Sila? I am choosing to be a good human being, even if they are not. And I trust Kuan Yin's wisdom will arise in me, so I will not be a doormat. So it doesn't matter what they say or do. I'm resting in the three refuges. It doesn't matter what you do, because it's not you. It's not personal until I make it personal. Therefore, for them, it's a conditioned reflex as well. So just like me, when I was ignorant, what would I do? Judge them too. Generosity. Why should I be generous? You know, those billionaires got that, those millionaires got that, the cost of living is that, the thing over there is that thing over there is that too. But one of the things I realized, particularly from polyvagal theory, is heaven or hell is in your nervous system. So if I cannot see the Buddha in you, even if you act ignorantly, then I'm in the same hell you are trapped in. Therefore, the cycle of samsara continues until I have the courage to say I'm exiting this matrix of doing harm. To doing no harm. But then the Lord will take advantage of you, wouldn't it? All these mean people. The Dharma has already told you. The perfume of blamelessness insulates you. And this has come from somebody who spent a long time studying power. Sun Tzu, Clausewitz, Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power, working in all these organizations which were all about power. And I found no greater power than the observation of one's mind. Because in the words of the great Jiddu Krishnamurti, I am the world. I am an entire universe. Carrying my, when I love people watching, and these days I cannot people watch without seeing the whole universe as people carry as they walk up and down. Because that's what creates one's reality, the projected conditioned reality. So there are many people who are having a wonderful time this evening because of their conditioned states, therefore their karma and dharma. And there are many people who are having a rough time this evening too. I'll give you a meta example. So I grew up in Ghana. For a very long time, the African continent is being called the third world, isn't it? And that's because everyone there's been conditioned to believe that they are less than, third world, therefore inferior, incapable. And those thoughts became internalized and therefore lived reality. I've just said something. In other words, the nature of Africa being a third world continent is a programmed, conditioned unreality that became reality at a collective level. There's nothing outside. In the same way, most people are terrified today. Where did that come from? The culture of fear. And when you look at that fear, how real is it? When looked at through the lens of Sila, I will do no harm. I will do no harm. Because how can you look at me and call me the orange man, right? And think it's going to be better for you? This is the same hatred. What kind of hypocrisy is that? What is that? And we do it all the time. This is why Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the Four Agreements, says we are all liars and actors. Theravadins are a bit shy about saying that. Right? Bhāvanā, Dāna, Sila. So in conclusion, maybe open up for a question or two if there are any. And if there aren't, that's fine too. I view Dāna, Sīla, and Bhāvanā as frequencies. I don't want to look over my shoulder anywhere. I want to walk confidently anywhere I go. And a confidence that's rooted in nothing but Dharma. So it should have nothing to do with my hair, my height, how I look, how I'm projected in the society. If I know I've mentally cultivated my mind to be free of kilesas, and I'm not subject to your games of hatred. Exit left, irrelevant. Checkmate. Dharmic checkmate. If I am generous, life takes care of life. As the great Thich Nhat Hanh would say, the cloud is my lunch, my dinner. So if I take care of you without anything in return, guess what happens to me? Takaki takes care of me when we meet in Tokyo with no return. Because when he goes to China, he's going to meet you at his point of need. And then you're going to give him a contract. It's a cycle of life. Which is anathema to the capitalist framework, I understand, or the techno-feudal framework. So Dāna, Because if I am you and I can give you without harming me my time, my energy, my resources, what am I communicating? Gratitude. And Bhāvanā. You know, one of the things that I heard today about the recently released Epstein file photos is how, at the high level, everyone seems to get along. Say again. I don't fit. But then I'm worried about whether you're a Crip or I'm a Blood. Wagwan. The beauty about the Dharma is, as Philip Moffat would say, when you're available and aligned, there's a mystery that happens. And hopefully this evening, collectively, energetically, we have deconstructed a little bit of this possibility. Any limitations to this talk are mine and mine only. Grateful for your kind attention. And maybe open it up for a couple of questions before we break, before we end, right? 10 minutes. Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Questions, comments, feedback, insights, what have you. Let's go for it.
For people in the room, we can use this microphone. You just have to hold it close to your lips at an angle out to pretend you're a rock star or something like that. And does anybody in the room want to start with something? If you'd like to share your name and pronouns, if you want to, that's fine. I see your hand, Margaret. Let's just see if anybody in the room. Did you raise your hand, Kanka?
Insightful. Closer. Sorry. I was you covered a lot of different subjects, and a lot of them, really touched me. One of the things I was thinking about, the techno-feudalism that you were mentioning, it reminded me of last night. I was scrolling, and I encountered this, to me, very, very disturbing concept of second screening. It's as a writer, it's very disturbing. It's when, people were talking about why some shows have, and I've noticed, very maybe high-rated shows have very some very under writings, especially dialogues, that feels very redundant, very dumbed down, and I've always wondered just the mechanism of how screenwriting worked, because I don't do screenwriting. And I encountered this notion, this Guardian report months ago about second screening. So Netflix have been apparently telling some writers to write scripts in a way that anticipates people to have the primary screen, which is their phone, on while watching the show. So you need to dumb down your dialogues, remind people what just happened, make the character explain the plot, so that people don't get so frustrated they can't follow, what's going on, because they're scrolling Instagram and they end up turning off the Netflix show, because the market all it cares is about, the rating and the amount of clicks. They don't care if you're really paying. They actually want you to be doing second screening. It still boosts them up in terms of algorithm. And that just felt to me so dystopic. It is very much a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's when you cater to the lowest, cravings of people, and then you do the market research and it fulfills that. So yeah, that, it was I was thinking about that when you mentioned the techno-feudalism.
No, very well said. There's many layers to what you just described there. In many ways, I think your description comes from if I may, from the position of always being an observer. And being an observer is aligned with concentration. And there's no awakening without concentration, which is why Netflix is doing exactly that. Because if I can get you distracted, because remember, there's no awakening without concentration or a concentrated mind. And from quantum physics, as it says, the observer effect, right? The energy goes where the attention is focused, right? So, for example, I drove in a car, but the car doesn't exist because I can't see it. It's the same when I go to sleep. If I slept here, this wouldn't exist in my sleep until I woke up and projected it. So what is conditioning the reality, therefore creating the parallax reflection that one is seeing? And without an observer to see that, then the illusion perpetuates until there's enough dukkha. I don't want to keep watching these Netflix shows with second screening. There's got to be more. And it's from that dukkha that emerges awakening. So with your example, perhaps that energy impacts somebody 2 doors from here. We've had the mysteries of meditation when people decide to meditate per zip code, right? Crime goes down, things like that. The mysteries of the Dharma. I'm Theravada. The Tibetans know more about the mysteries, but there's maybe some Tibetans here, Tibetan practitioners. But this is what it is. You're talking about and it is impossible for the average mind to be concentrated. You're going against a machine and no original thought. Oh, you think you're intellectual? How did you come to that thought? It was planted in you. You see? So that's what it is, to see the conditioning of the inception, right? The movie within the movie. Oh, yes. Margaret, please go for it, and then see after Margaret.
Well, no, I really appreciate what you've said. It's just that I found in my own life, it's easy to assume that you have your virtue together, you have your that you've given at times and been a generous person. It's easy to assume, but when you begin to experiment, is when you really find out what the story is, and it's important to have the courage to explore and to experiment, and to test the teachings. And it's lovely because I have done that in my life, and I continue to do that, but I've done it, and it's incredible what unfolds. So I guess that's all I'll say right now.
I can see your joy. I can see it.
Thank you.
Because you live this. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And in one's case, there was a point, that, particularly after my second marriage, I was very defensive when it came to people and all these these things, right?
Mhm.
No, 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 no boundaries. No, 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 no. And in that observation, what I found is this is why there's Kuan Yin and the Buddha when you walk up.
Mhm.
Because when one embraces a certain open heartedness, I find
Yeah.
that there's an unpremeditated wisdom.
Mhm. Mhm.
So your open heartedness doesn't make you vulnerable
Mhm. Mhm.
because of the wisdom that is accessible as a result of embracing what you just described.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
may be talking to myself, Margaret.
Well, i- I've been able to access a lot through my efforts with the practice and getting into some good, a strong concentration. Just begin to see clearly.
You said it. You said it. You said. I'd imagine you have some sort of a jhana practice or adjacent practice.
Well, actually, I had the very good fortune of having stumbled into the jhanas. So yeah, it was unbelievable, and it was really very lovely, and it's something I'll never forget.
You're amazing, Margaret.
Thank you.
And thank you for spreading your stardust in the way that you've done.
Sure, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. There's one more, right? One more. Tony, please. Yes, Tony, and then and Sila. Okay, Tony and Sila, please go for it.
Hi, yeah, Tony, he, him. Um, could you, would you mind clarifying that part where you said that, didn't want to have to look over your shoulder and that if if you're pure mind and have the good Sila, something about how even if you're being profiled and being targeted by other people with fear and hatred, that that it doesn't matter. Is that what you said? That it won't bother you?
Oh, Tony. Wow. Heavy question. Okay. I'll just say what's coming. Yes, I'll just say what's coming. And from a personal narrative, one of the things I wanted to do was to have syncretic knowledge, meaning that all knowledge comes from a single source, one black hole.
Mhm.
Technology is art, is philosophy, is math, is quantum physics. So when you understand, when I invested time in that, then I realized that the narrative about how I present and who I'm supposed to be was completely erroneous, not supported by historical evidence and facts and science. So that's the mind.
Mhm.
The Dharma. What I found is one can only give what one has,
Mhm.
Tony. So if I hurt you, if I gossip about you, if I conduct a smear campaign about you, if I block your promotion, if I steal from you, if I think negative thoughts about you, who is the first victim of that negativity? Me.
Right.
But it's also an exploitation of my current state. Because when I'm comfortable in my not self, it's impossible for me to judge your not self.
Right.
So if I do, then the evidence is clear that one is in ignorance.
Mhm.
And knowing that I came to this from ignorance, how can I hate you for being ignorant?
Oh, yeah.
Look at me, Tony. I can only give you what I have.
Mhm.
So if I hate myself, I cannot give you love. So if you feel hate from me, what do you realize about me? This is being mired in dukkha.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see?
Yes.
So from that comes wise action,
Right.
skillfulness, or neutrality. So you're not judging me from a position of who's this idiot, who's this what have you
Mm-hmm.
person. And so you avoid the continuation of the dance of dukkha. Now, one hand can't clap. So this is the spiritual dharmic checkmate I speak about.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you see, Tony?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you
Yes,
see?
I do. That's wonderful. Thank you.
You know, I'm Sina, she, her. I think that sort of answers a question I had. I've had a couple of sadly negative exchanges when I've tried to give, you know, um, food to people on the street when I'm turning a corner in my car, and they'll get mad like it's not enough. I always ask, would this help? But I don't know, the anger, just only on two occasions. Most people are very, very, you know, thankful or grateful. But the last one I had was so negative, it's caused fear in me to even, give. And I don't want to feel that way, but I think that what you just said answered it too, that I don't have to participate in that. Yet,
This is true. This is true. And I think you're also pointing to something else, Sina. So Seattle Inside was founded by Rodney Smith. And one of Rodney Smith's favorite teacher, a number of you may know him, Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. I mention him because there's a picture of him at Spirit Rock and the Gratitude Hut. So it's Dharma adjacent. What Sri Nisargadatta said, on the awakening path, you do not awaken one who has not asked for your help.
oh,
Imagine I came up to you at a coffee shop. Hey, do you know about the Four Noble Truths? Come on. Focus on your breath. How are you going to feel about me in that moment? As a non-Dharma practitioner.
Oh, I would think, well, that's strange. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right. But if you ask me, what is the path to awakening? So similarly on the street, there's the discernment to sense who is a receiver. But it also comes from, remember, in Dāna, prior to Dāna, pure mind. During Dāna, after
Mhm.
Dāna.
Yeah.
And it matters not whether you say thank you or not.
Mhm.
That's not my karma.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it's been a lot of fun. And thank you for your time and attention and your energy. And I feel like we could go for another half an hour, but as all things that rise fall, all things are impermanent. Therefore, our time together has come to a close. And with a lot of gratitude, I want to turn it back to Canada. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yes.
The authenticity that you present the Dharma with.
Thank you.
Yeah. And of course, right along those lines, I want to thank everybody for being here. And before we close, I'd just like to share a little something from my heart. I want to mention how our Sangha holds together and that your generosity sustains our Sangha. And together we keep the Dhamma alive. And this practice of generosity, one of the first teachings of the Buddha, even before he taught Bhāvanā meditation, it's rooted in kindness and growing through giving. And the heart of the Sangha is generosity. And many of you have noticed our little Sangha keeps growing week after week. More people are finding their way here, and some people arrive stressed, and some grieving, and some just needing a quiet place to breathe. And it's been beautiful to witness how this community holds everyone, just the way that the Portland Northwest forests, the Pacific Northwest holds everything that falls into it gently and without judgment. And so to continue offering this refuge, we're hoping to take a few next steps. We want to offer another sitting group in West Lynn and also hopefully move into a larger room at some point. And also to offer fair Dāna support for our teachers who give so generously of their time and their hearts, including, of course, the guest teachers. And so we have various options to help support the teachings. And no matter how small or large your monetary donation is, please know that it's accepted with gratitude and with humility. Even when giving digitally, you can think, as Nana mentioned, that the Buddha said about generosity, that you may know the joy in the heart thinking about giving, in practicing the actual giving, and knowing that there's happiness upon receiving it. And it's helpful to frequently reflect on the ways generosity benefits the receiver, and at the same time deepens our own practice of compassion and of wisdom, which leads step by step to complete liberation. Through helping others, we're also helping ourselves and benefiting the larger community. And if this group has supported you, if it's helped you steady your mind or soften your heart, we invite you, only if it feels right, to continue contributing to our Sangha building. So I want to thank those of you who have already given regularly. No matter how small, it all contributes to continuing the sharings of the teachings. And the monthly giving is especially helpful because it helps us count on resources for some of our basic needs. But truly, no amount is too small. Every offering, even the cost of a cup of tea, helps grow in a way that's sustainable and rooted in kindness. And if you're on our mailing list, you probably recently received our end of the year letter that gave you details of our finances and gave you an opportunity to give at the end of the year for a tax-deductible donation. And if you didn't see it, perhaps you can look back in your Pacific Northwest meditation emails or maybe in your promotion folders on Gmail just to read about how the Sangha is growing. So we have a donation bowl, that's a box, over on the table, and you can give online also using PayPal or Venmo, or better yet, through a direct deposit from your bank account through Zelle. So if contributing financially isn't possible right now, know that your presence here is really a gift. And we can always use volunteers to help us set up the room, to greet people, to help take down the tech equipment. And so I just want to thank you for being a part of the community. And may our shared practice really continue to ripple outward in ways that we don't even see. And I would also like to mention, I'll just do it briefly, that we have various teachings. Trina teaches every morning. You can find the schedule all online. We have the affinity groups, Be Queer Now, and the BIPOC group, and the neurodiversity group. And we can always use helping hands here. There's even a little sign-up sheet over there if anybody wants to get information about various places where we need volunteering. And next week, Trina is speaking. The week after that, I am. And next week on Saturday, the 20th, after Trina, well, before Trina's, but there's time for both things. At Pacific Insight Meditation Center, I am doing a meditation movement and bowls. I've done it always on the solstices and equinoxes, and I haven't done it for a year. And so they've asked 3 times. And so my friend Phyllis Moses, who teaches the Tara dancing, and I are going to return there. So we would love to see you from 10 to 4 at PIMC. And then you just whiz yourself right over here. So I think for now, I will say goodbye to folks on Zoom and pause the meeting, and we can talk to each other for a little bit. Take your time greeting each other and getting to know someone that you don't know, or coming up, and maybe Nana will have a little conversation, but he has to drive to Seattle. So thank you, people on Zoom. Good to see you, Darren and Margaret. Hi, Ella.
Yeah.
So
Thank you and take care,
you were
everyone.
here. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.